But long before that association, Courvoisier was capitalizing on another famous personality, Napoleon Bonaparte. Hello and welcome to My Tiny Bottles, the project where I'm exploring my grandmother's legacy of miniature liquor bottles, one tiny bottle at a time. I'm your host, Tammy Coxon. Bottle number 75 is Courvoisier VS Cognac. It completes my set of cognacs from the so-called Big Four that produce most of the cognac we drink today. Bottle 7 was Martell, 19 was Hennessy, 70 was Remy Martin, and now we have Courvoisier. While the youngest of the Big Four houses, Courvoisier has definitely made its mark. Like Bottle 19, Hennessy, it is particularly well loved by the African American community and was commemorated by rap group Busta Rhymes in the 2001 hit Pass the Courvoisier. Check out the Hennessy episode for some background on where that allegiance came from. But long before that association, Courvoisier was capitalizing on another famous personality, Napoleon Bonaparte. This required an impressive bit of marketing, given that Napoleon died in 1821, 17 years before the House of Courvoisier was officially founded in 1838. The founders were Félix Courvoisier and Jules Gallois, whose fathers had a wine and spirits business in Bercy near Paris. Napoleon visited them in 1811, and legend has it that he liked their cognac so much he took several barrels with him. In 1838, the sons decided to focus on making cognac and set up operations in Jarnac in the Cognac region. After Félix died in 1866 without any heirs, I don't know what happened to Jules, the business passed to two of his nephews, the Courvoisier brothers, who operated it under their own names. And it was during that era, in 1869, when they were granted the title of official supplier to the imperial court by Napoleon III. The Courvoisier brothers saw cognac's export potential and leaned hard into the international market, particularly the UK. Their primary UK exporter was another pair of brothers, the Simons, and in 1909, they bought the firm. They brought with them some powerful marketing know-how, which they used to establish Courvoisier as an actual brand. Nostalgia sells, and what could be more nostalgic than invoking the ghost of Napoleon? It was under the Simons that Napoleon became the face of the brand, literally with his silhouette appearing on the labels, along with the words, "The Brandy of Napoleon." In 1951, they created a special bottle shape, which they called Josephine, in honor of his empress. With a thin neck and a wide base, some people say this shape was inspired by Josephine's love of corsets. Now, the emperor and his empress could be together at last. Of course, in real life, Napoleon annulled their marriage because Josephine didn't bear him any children, but let's not let inconvenient facts get in the way of marketing. Their strategy worked, and Courvoisier became the successful worldwide brand that the Simons would sell to Hiram Walker in 1964. Expect to hear a lot more about that name in upcoming episodes. From there, it would be passed through a number of hands, most recently landing with Gruppo Campari in 2024. My tiny bottle has that classic Josephine shape and the Napoleon silhouette, but there's no Brandy of Napoleon slogan printed on it. In its place appear the words "very special" and "très spécial," a bilingual label indicating that this one was purchased in Canada. Dating-wise, it's a bit of a mishmash with no clear match, but as always, the extensive library of labels on the Cognacton website was a really helpful resource. Based on its metric units, it's post-1975, and based on the font of the word Courvoisier, it's pre-1990s, most likely 1980s. The 1980s were an interesting time for the company when they started paying a lot more attention to their production methods. Courvoisier is like Bottle 70, Remy Martin, but even more so in that they source all of their wines and brandy from a network of over 1,000 suppliers. But they do provide a lot of direction, specifying things like what yeast to use and where to make cuts. They're also really particular about their barrels, sourcing the wood from a different part of France than most makers, and even creating a special barrel style that's stored upright rather than on its side. All of those changes were being made in the 1980s, around the time my bottle was filled, so that will make this a particularly interesting one to compare with a modern bottle where more of the cognac inside will hopefully have been influenced by those choices. So hopefully I'll get a chance to do that soon. Be sure to subscribe so you can see who I pass my tiny bottle of Courvoisier to for tasting. Hit the like button and leave a comment while you're there. Have you checked out my Patreon yet? You'll find bonus content, cocktail recipes, and sneak peeks of what's coming up. You can also head to mytinybottles.com to subscribe to my weekly newsletter and find more pictures and information about this bottle and all the bottles. Cheers!